Savoir et connaître with FrenchSpanishOnline.com. How to translate the verb to know in French. There are two verbs for that, connaître and savoir. It's what we are going to see in this lesson. The differences between the two verbs. Connaître, first, is related to acquaintance, and we use it for people, places, and also things. Savoir is related to what one can learn by studying, so the knowledge is deeper. And we use it only for facts and things, never for people nor places. We also use the verb savoir when to know is followed with a clause, with words like that, what, who, where, etc. I know when you come, for example, so to know followed by when, we use the verb savoir, je sais quand tu viendras. So let's see again the differences between the two verbs. Savoir is for facts and expression like to know that, who, so following with the clause, and you remember that it's a question of learning here, studying, and connaître is for people and places. Both verbs are also for things, but let's see first some example with what we know. I know Paul. So let's see our rules. I know Paul. Paul is a person, so we need the verb connaître. Je connais Paul. You know Paris. Paris is the place, again. Tu connais Paris. I know that you come. Here there is a clause, so the verb savoir. Je sais que tu viendras. I can play the violin. You can find strange here to find the verb can here, but actually you can also say in English I know how to play the violin, to say I can play the violin. And in French, when you have these things about abilities, we use the verb savoir, to know, and not the verb pouvoir, can. So we will say I know how to play the violin with the verb savoir, of abilities, of things you can learn. Je sais jouer du violon. And you know I'm not happy. So you know I'm not happy, it's a fact. So we are going to use the verb savoir. But there is a second reason actually, because the correct sentence in English is you know that I'm not happy. So there is a clause. Two reasons to use the verb savoir. Tu sais que je ne suis pas heureux. Let's see now when it's a question of things. So savoir, you remember, is related to what one can learn by studying. So the knowledge is deep. Connaître is related to acquaintance. The knowledge is less deep. Things that you know because you have been in contact with the information previously. So let's see some examples to know how to translate them. I know my lesson. Which verbs are you going to use to translate know here? Savoir or connaître? Actually, as we have just seen, it depends on the knowledge you have of your lesson. If you know your lesson very well, we are going to use the verb savoir, je sais ma leçon. But if you know your lesson, you are able to talk about it, but you don't know it by heart, you will say je connais ma leçon. And both are correct with a difference in the meaning. Of course, if you say je connais ma leçon par cœur, I know my lesson by heart, so this sentence and this sentence with the verb savoir have the same meaning. I know his poem. So the same thing, if you know very well the poem, if you are able to say it by heart, you will use the verb savoir, je sais son poème. But if you only know actually that the author wrote this poem years or centuries ago, you know the title of the poem, you know more or less what it is about, so you will use the verb connaître, je connais son poème. Both are correct, depending on the knowledge you have. I know the date of your departure. The same thing, you can use the verb savoir, je sais la date de ton départ, because I wrote it down, I memorized the date because I don't want to forget when you leave, so the verb savoir. But you can also say je connais la date de ton départ because I've been in contact with the information previously, someone told me that you'll leave, etc. So both are correct again. Again, if you know French very well, je sais le français. If you know basic French, je connais le français. Do you know my address? Tu sais mon adresse if you want to ask actually if the person wrote it down, know exactly where you are. Tu sais mon adresse. But if you just know actually if the person remember where you live, next time she'll be around, will be around, so you can say tu connais mon adresse. Both are correct again. Do you know if she's nice? No, I don't know her. So we have twice here the verb to know. How to translate it in French? First in the question, do you know if she's nice? There is a clause here started with if. So, if you remember, we need the verb savoir. And the second sentence, I don't know her. Her is a person, so we need the verb connaître. And we have tu sais si elle est gentille? Non, je ne la connais pas. Different verbs for the same in English, and you can't change them. In some expressions, short expressions like who knows, for example, we use the verb savoir. Qui sait? The same thing for you know. Tu sais. Let's summarize again what we have just seen in this lesson. First, the difference between the two verbs. Savoir is for things that you can learn, you study, so you understand there is a deep knowledge. It's for facts, to know how to, translate can plus infinitive, and to know followed by a clause. Connaître is for people and places. Both verbs are used with things, but we understand that we need savoir with deep knowledge and connaître with a less deep knowledge. To be sure you understand which verbs to choose now, when you have the verb to know in English, go to SpanishOnline/magazine/page 91. You will find a quiz for you. Try it and be sure you'll be right after this lesson.